You have probably seen the headlines. People are fleeing Boise, Idaho is closed, stop moving here. And if you're scrolling through videos right now, trying to figure out whether you should move to Boise, Idaho, those headlines might have you nervous. Let me say something that is going to sound completely backwards. According to North American Van Lines, Idaho was the #1 inbound moving state in America in 2025 for the second year in a row. #1, not California, not Texas, not Florida, Idaho. How can everyone be leaving Boise at the same time everyone is moving here? That is not a typo and it's not a trick. It is the single most misunderstood thing about Boise housing market right now. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand that better than most people who already live here. Because once you see what's really happening, you're going to know exactly where the smart buyers and sellers are going. So let's get into it. Chapter 1, the great Boise myth and why it spreads so fast. So here's the thing about a city like Boise. When a place becomes popular, two stories start flying and fighting each other. And both of them can feel true at the same time. I've been helping people buy and sell homes in the Treasure Valley for almost 20 years, and I've watched this whole story unfold from the front row. I've sat at kitchen tables with families packing up to leave, and I've handed keys to families showing up with a moving truck the same week. So when I tell you everyone is leaving headline is only half the picture, I'm not guessing. I'm telling you what I see on the ground every single day. So let's start with the part that is actually true. According to the US Census Bureau, the city of Boise proper did see its population dip slightly in 2025, and that's real. For the first time in a long time, the city itself did not grow the way it had been growing. So when someone makes a video called Boise is dying, they can point to that number and feel like they caught something. But here's what those videos leave out, and it changes everything. According to North American Van Lines, Idaho is the #1 inbound moving state in the country in 2025 for the second year in a row. And the other big movers tell the same basic story. Atlas Van Lines ranked Idaho near the very top of its inbound list, and United Van Lines kept Idaho firmly in its top tier also. Different companies, different methods, but the same direction. People are still showing up, a lot of them. So if Idaho is one of the most moved to states in America, but the city of Boise barely grew, where on earth are all these people going? That question is the whole video. And the answer is going to make you rethink your entire home search. Chapter 2. Where everyone is actually going. Let's follow the moving truck. So let me clear up the biggest confusion first, because once you get this, the headlines stop being scary and start being useful. When people say leaving Boise, most of them are not leaving the area at all. They're leaving the city of Boise and moving a few miles down the road to the suburbs. They are trading a smaller, older home in town for a bigger, newer home in a place like Meridian, Eagle, Kuna, Nampa, or Middleton. We added Kuna in there because some of the people that I know and love said, make sure you mention Kuna because there's a lot of good things happening in Kuna. The data backs this up in a big way. According to KTVB, which is a local TV station, reporting on census migration figures, a large share of people who moved last year were simply Idahoans relocating to a different part of Idaho. And the local news outlets put real numbers on the in-migration too. In Meridian, almost 38% of the people who moved came from out of state. In Caldwell, it was more than 28%. In Boise was more than 20%, and in Nampa more than 18%. So the newcomers are not vanishing, they're landing in the suburbs. And that makes complete sense when you think like a buyer. The city of Boise is older and more built out. There's less room to build new homes. But drive 15 or 20 minutes out and you hit Meridian, Kuna, and Middleton, where builders are putting up brand new homes, brand new neighborhoods, with the garages, the yards, and the floor plans that growing families actually want. That is where the moving trucks are going. Now think about what that means if you're the one who is buying or selling. If you only search Boise on a home website, you're missing most of the actual opportunity in this valley. The growth did not stop, it just moved a little bit to the west, which brings up the question everybody really wants answered. If all these people are coming, what is happening to home prices? So let's talk about that. Chapter 3, the real story on Boise home prices. Okay, this is the part most of you came for, so let me give it to you straight, with no hype in either direction. If you were expecting me to say prices are crashing, I'm not going to say that, because it's not what the numbers show. And if you were expecting me to say prices are still rocketing up like in 2021, I'm not going to say that either, because that is not true anymore either. Here is the honest middle. According to Redfin, in the 3 months ending May 2026, the median sale price of a Boise home was about $525,000, which was up just under 2% from the same time the year before. So prices didn't fall apart. They went up a little, but very gently. Zillow tells a very similar story, putting the average Boise home value right around $502,000 and up less than 1% over the past year. Now you might notice those two numbers are a little different, one near $525,000 and one near $502,000. And I want to explain why, because honest agents should explain the why. Redfin is measuring the median price of homes that are actually sold and closed. Zillow is measuring an estimated value across all homes, sold or not, using their own model. They're answering slightly different questions, so a gap of $20,000 between them is completely normal. When you see those two sources side by side, the takeaway is the same. Boise prices have basically flattened out into a slow, steady climb. Honestly, if you look since 2021, starting in 2022, our graph of what's been happening in the market is just pretty steady. There's an up or down play over each of those 5, almost 6 years now, but it really hasn't changed significantly. It's come down very gently from the peak. Honestly, for a buyer, the flat home pricing is good news. According to Redfin, homes in Boise were taking about 13 days to sell and getting 3 offers each. That's still a market with real demand, but it's nowhere near the frenzy of a few years ago, when some of our people, they competed against 15, 20 offers. Sometimes in those years, you had to waive the inspection and go over maybe $50,000 on the asking price just to get a phone call back. The buyer can breathe now, and you can actually negotiate. So prices are steady, demand is real, the panic in those headlines does not match the data. Speaking of data, let me pause here for a second, because you want to make sure that you walk away with something you can actually use. Remember the puzzle I gave you at the start? Everyone is leaving Boise and everyone is moving to Idaho both at once? By now you can see the answer forming. The people leaving are mostly heading to the suburbs. The newcomers are pouring into Meridian and Nampa and the surrounding towns, and prices have settled into a calmer, friendlier rhythm. But there is one more piece that I have not shown you yet, and it's the piece that decides whether moving here is actually a smart financial move for you or just a pretty dream. It comes down to jobs and the true cost of living. The numbers there surprised even me. I have a daughter actually looking to move across the country right now. She lives in Florida, she wants to move to Colorado, and she's looking at not just the price of homes, but she's looking at cost of living. How close will she be to her work? How much is it going to cost me for education for my children? All of those things factor into the everyday budget that every family is having to think about. So I want to just say to you, before I get into these next pieces, if you are even thinking about a move to the Treasure Valley, do yourself a favor and grab my free Boise relocation guide. The link is in the description below, and it breaks down every one of these towns: Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Kuna, Nampa, Middleton, and Garden City, by price, lifestyle, who each one is really best for, so that you're not guessing. I remember when I moved here to Boise back in 1991 and started by just driving around. I didn't know which end was up. And until I found a real estate agent to help me that had already lived here for a long time, and they were able to help me understand schools and neighborhoods and price points, it all made so much more sense then. So go ahead and download it now, and then come right back, because this next part is really the deciding factor. That's chapter 4, and that we're going to talk about jobs and the cost of living, the truth that nobody tells you. All right, here's the piece that ties everything together, and it's the part the scary videos almost never mention. When people imagine moving to Boise, they picture the mountains and the river and the slower pace, and that's all real, and it's really wonderful. But a dream only works if you can pay for it. So let's look at whether the math holds up. You know, start with jobs, because that's what keeps the housing market healthy, and it's what keeps your budget in balance. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, Idaho's unemployment rate sat around 3.7% in mid-2026, which is meaningfully lower than the national rate of about 4.3% in that same stretch. A low employment rate means most people who want to work are working, and that's exactly the kind of foundation that keeps home values stable instead of shaky. The Boise area's economy leans on technology, healthcare, and manufacturing. So it's not a one-company town that lives or dies on a single employer, which is fantastic. Now, the part that surprised me, for years, Boise's pitch was simple. It is way cheaper than California, way cheaper than Seattle. Come on over. And for someone selling a home on the coast, that's still very true. But for locals, the cost of living has crept up really fast. According to the Council for Community and Economic Research, Idaho's cost of living has risen to roughly the national average, which is a real change from years past when it was clearly below average. I'm not telling you that to scare you. I'm telling you because it explains a whole migration story that you have been watching. Someone moving from a pricey coastal city, typically on the West Coast, coming here, looks at Boise and sees a bargain and a better life. And someone who grew up here on a local wage looks at the same prices and feels squeezed. And some of them decide to cash out and move somewhere less expensive. And we're seeing that happen as well. Both of those people are real and both are in the data. That's how a place can be one of the most moved to states in the country and still have locals heading for the exits at the same time. We see the same thing happening in those coastal cities. There's people leaving there, but there's new people coming in. So the question really is Boise affordable? The honest answer is it depends entirely on where you're coming from and what you earn. And that single insight is more useful than any headline because it tells you to compare Boise to your own situation, not to a number on the news. Now let me bring all of this home and tell you what it might actually mean for your decision. This is chapter 5. Should you actually move to Boise? Let's put the whole picture together because you did not come here for trivia. You came here to decide. If you're a buyer coming from a higher cost city, the case for the Treasure Valley is still strong. You get a steady housing market instead of a chaotic one, real job stability with low unemployment, and a lifestyle, the foothills, the green belt, the easy access to the outdoors. That genuinely is hard to find anywhere else at this price. According to United Van Lines, the top reasons that people move to Idaho are family, a different pace of life, and that's the part that no spreadsheet can capture. That is you sitting around your own dinner table and making that decision for yourself. But people come here to slow down and be near the people they love. Often one member of the family moves first and then others follow them because family is important. If you're a buyer already living here, the smart move is to widen your search beyond just the city of Boise. The newer homes, the better value, and a lot of the future growth is sitting in Meridian, Kuna, Nampa, and Middleton. The everyone is leaving story is really just a everyone is spreading out story. And you can use that. And if you're a seller, here's the good news. Demand has not disappeared. It is shifted. According to Redfin, homes are still selling in under 2 weeks and still drawing multiple offers. But buyers today are patient and they're picky. They will pay a fair price for a home that is clean, updated, and priced right. And they will walk right past one that is not. So the win is in presentation and pricing. So I just want to tell you a situation that we had just recently. A friend of one of the agents on my team had listed his home for sale. And he hadn't chose the agent on our team because she had had a life event happened that had kept her preoccupied. And their home was on the market for 75 days and not selling. Now, this seller had a commitment moving to the eastern part of the state, and they needed to get their home sold. So they reached out to our team and said, can you help us? We looked at that property and said, if you want to sell this home, these are the things that you're going to need to do to get it sold and move on. Mind you, we didn't change the price of the listing at all, but we changed the presentation of the property. They had 2 offers in less than 10 days, getting them to Eastern Idaho in the time they needed to get there. The buyer of the property had been in the market for 1 year, looking and not finding. And when they found this home, they said, this is our forever home, and they are so excited. And do you know what? That home was on the market all the time that they were looking, and they never chose to come and see it. So the win is in the presentation and the pricing. A buyer will say, well, for the price, or they'll say, well, for the price. We need to present the properties well. You don't want to hop into another bidding war. The bottom line is this. Boise is not dying, and Boise is not a runaway train either. It is matured into something steadier and frankly healthier. A real market for real families where you can take a breath and make a good decision. And the people who understand that, instead of reacting to a headline, are the ones who end up in the right home at the right price. So just a quick wrap up here. Let's recap the whole thing in plain terms. The headlines say everyone is leaving Boise, but the data tells a richer story. According again to North American Van Lines, Idaho is the #1 inbound state in the country in 2025 for the second year running, with the other major movers keeping it in their top tier as well. The people leaving the city are mostly just moving to the suburbs like Meridian, Nampa, and home prices have settled into a slow, steady climb instead of crashing or exploding. I know many, when we hit a peak in 2021 leading into 22, they thought everything is going to fall apart. We did not experience that here in Boise. Our jobs here are stable with low unemployment. The cost of living has risen to about the national average, and whether Boise is affordable depends entirely on where you're coming from. The fear was the headline. The opportunity is in the details. So here's what I want you to take away. A move like this is not really about a market. It's about the life that you are building, the backyard your kids will grow up in, the morning you finally get to drink your coffee looking at the foothills, and the numbers just help you get there with confidence instead of fear. If you're thinking about making the Treasure Valley your home and you're ready to sell and want to do it in the smart way, I would love to help you figure out the right move for your situation, not a headline situation. I'm Barb Dopp, and I live, work, and help families right here across Boise, Meridian, Eagle, Kuna, Nampa, Middleton, and Garden City every single day. Reach out to me directly using the contact information below, and do not forget to grab that free Boise relocation guide in the description so that you have all of this at your fingertips. If this video cleared things up for you, do me a favor and hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell, because I break down the real story on this market every single week. I will see you in the next one. Take care.